Welcome viewers to another insightful report brought to you by Group 3. So, in today's video, we dive into the intricate world of source control for ServiceNow. As businesses is increasingly rely on ServiceNow to streamline their operations, the importance of effective source control cannot be overstated. Join us as we unravel the complexities of managing configurations, scripts, and customizations within the ServiceNow platform. We'll explore the significance of version control, its impact on collaboration and efficiency, and strategies for implementing robust source control practices tailored to ServiceNow environments. So, whether you're an IT professional seeking to optimize your ServiceNow deployment or a curious enthusiast delving into the realm of source control, then this video is your gateway to a deeper understanding of this critical aspect of ServiceNow management. Sit back, relax, and let Group 3 be your guide through the fascinating world of source control for ServiceNow, and let's dive in. So, my name is Chad, and I'm here to present about source control. So, what is source control? Developers use source control to track and manage changes to an application. The source in source control refers to the files that make up an application. In ServiceNow, application files are database tables, scripts, flows, access control, records, and other files that make up an application. So, from the word itself, control, it is the management of the application files. And source control offers many benefits, including backup, change tracking, version control, parallel development, code organization. So for backup, it stores application files separately from the development platform. And for change tracking, it views changes and access past versions of an application file. Version control as well revert to a previous version of an application. And while parallel development, it is teams of developers composed of developers that can work on an application at the same time. And code organization maintain in progress work separately from a release application and merge completed application files when development is complete. So Git is one of the most popular source control platforms available. So developers should be familiar with some terminology associated with Git. So what is Git, by the way? A Git is composed of repositories, and a repository is the location where the source file are stored. What is remote repository? So the remote Git repository where source files are stored and managed, while local repository is the working repository in Studio where developers create and change application files. So those are two types of repositories for Git. Branch, a set of code changes in a repository with a unique name, and also it has a master. It is the main branch or trunk of an application. So these are the parts of Git, or what we say GitHub. So there are master, there's a branch, and its repositories. So we have a checklist round here. And first, I think I have already discussed to you about what is source control. And then second is creating a repository in GitHub. So how can we create a repository in GitHub? Okay, so it's just simple. So just need to open the GitHub homepage. You can refer to the ServiceNow web page so that you can get to this. Then I'll be sending you a link on the description for this guide. So open the GitHub homepage. So click on this. Next is you just need to sign in. So I'm already signed in here, and then you need to click on new. So new. Okay, let's go back. So after clicking new, it shows here that you need to write the repository name. For example, it says event tracker. So you just need to type in event tracker. Then here you go. You can make it public or private. or you can change the settings from here and then create repository. That's it. So you have successfully created a repository, and then for the next article that I'm gonna show to you is how to link an application from source control. So here, you need GitHub. So this is just continuation. Once you've already created a repository in GitHub, then we're gonna explain on how to link an application from source control. So here's a bunch of videos from group threes, and just watch it and enjoy.
My name is Ira Shane Boyles, and I'm going to demonstrate how to link an important application to source control. So first, in linking an application to source control, we have to create a credential record. So go to App Engine Studio and then just search credentials, which is under connections and credentials, and click credentials. Then create a new record, which is a basic authentication credentials, and then just fill this out for the GitHub account, and then my username for my GitHub, and then my password. So just click submit, and then we now have GitHub credentials. So we can now link an application to source control. So open Studio, and then just click an existing application which is not linked to source control. So this is an application that I have made earlier. So click source control and then link to source control. And then in here, just paste the URL that the repository for the um, ServiceNow. Copy this and then just paste it here. And then just search for the credentials that you have made earlier. Then click link to source control. Then just wait. Okay, so now we have a so now we already link the GitHub to source control. So now when importing an application from source control, we just have to close this and then go to Studio again. And then in select an application, just click import from import application. So this means that you can import an existing application in your that you have imported in your GitHub. So just paste the repository link and then the credentials for that account, and then just make sure that the branch is existing in the repository, and then just click import. So that will be for the importing an application. So the next reporter will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that one, Ira Boyles. So let's move on to the next reporter. But before that, we need to check the checklist here. So um, Ira already explained about linking an application from source control and also importing an application from source control. So next, let's have committing changes and comparing versions. So let's give a round of applause to Daklan.
Hello everyone, I am Jake Duckland from USLM. Now we will learn about commit changes and comparing versions of our GitHub repo. Okay, so make sure you have an application, and let's select our application Innovate here. Okay, now let's select our table Innovate. So before I change anything or before I touch the data here, okay, I want you to see that in this section here, only apply remote changes have been highlighted, and commit changes and stash local changes hasn't been highlighted yet. That's because we haven't made changes, obviously, in our table. So to commit some changes, we'll try to edit something or change something. Okay, so let's try to change our column label into, instead of quotes, let's say sayings. Okay, and we make like 123 characters. I think that should be fine. So let's hit update button, and okay, now you see commit changes and stash local changes is highlighted. So now we commit changes, okay? For our change that for the change that we've made here in our table to reflect in our GitHub repository, and that's how we commit changes. Okay, now we talk about comparing versions. So we have two different file type here. So the first one is for the documentation, and the second one is for the dictionary or data we had. Okay, so to see or compare with the committed versions to your current versions, just simply click this book icon right here on the right side. So let's loading. Let's try to open the documentation. So this one is the data, or I mean the dictionary changes, and this one. So the documentation is just a short one. Okay, so the same, but however, in our dictionary, we we had here long so many data. So now to see what we've changed, okay, to see what changed in our version of what we've committed already. Okay, it's highlighted in blue color. So we've changed the word code or the column label codes into sayings, and we've changed the max length of character from 111 into 123. So that's how we see or we compare versions. Okay, so now we commit our or the changes that we've made. We just simply click continue in the bottom right, and then we say what we've changed. So modified change, we say change column label codes to column label sayings. Okay, I think that should be enough. So we commit changes, and yeah, it's success. Let's see in our repository in the same branch. So we've pushed or we've committed 20 minutes ago, and so it's a success commit. Okay, and it's a bit lag on my end. So yeah, you can see so it updated from 20 minutes ago to 30 seconds ago. So that's how we that's how we commit changes that we've made. So once we've commit the changes that we've made, it will go back again to not being highlighted, because again we've committed already the changes. So there's no more change that we've made unless we change that again. So that's how we commit changes, and that's how we compare versions that we have. I am Jake Daklan from UCLM. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jake, for that wonderful presentation. So let's move on. So we are already done with committing changes and also comparing versions. So for the next reporter, let's have Mark Habonete to explain to us regarding source control branches and also creating branches. So here you go.
Source control and creating branches. Source control. A branch of a set of code changes in a repository with a unique name. Create branches to develop application files separately from the main application. Source control. This is our branches where separate path of code changes with a repository, each with a distinct identity. They enable developers to work on features or fixes independently and facilitating organized development and seamless integration of changes into the main code base. So this that is the source control. Creating branches in the context of version control seems like Git involves diverging of the main line of development to work on a separate set of changes. This allows developers to make modification, add features, and fix issues with directly altering the main code base. Branches provide isolation for development, and once changes are complete and tested, they can be merged back into the main branch or repository. So creating branches, it is a version control is the process of establishing separate paths for code changes. It also enables developers to work on distinct features or fixes without affecting the primary code base. These branches facilitate parallel development, experimentation, and organized collaboration, with the ability to later merge the changes back into the main branch.
Okay, I think that's it. So thank you for that one, Brian Lisondra. I mean, Mark Habonete. Sorry. So for our next presentation, so we're already done with source control branches and also how to create branches. So let's move on to switching branches and merging branches to be presented by our one of reporter Brian Lisondra. So let's give a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Um, Good day, everyone. I am Brian Keith Desondra, and I am tasked to discuss how to switch branch in ServiceNow. So, before we begin, switching branch, you need to have an admin role to do this one, and then you will also have to have a Git repository with one or more available branches. So, application developers can switch to a different repo branch to work on another version of the application. So let's say that in our application we have version 1, then we wanted to create another version of it without um, manipulating the first version. Then what we could do is just to create a new branch, and we wanted to change what was existing in version 1 in our newly created branch in version 2. So this is important so that we would not, let's say, destroy our previous versions of our application. So how do we do branch switching in ServiceNow? So first, we navigate to all, then source control, and then switch branch. Then the system displays the switch branch window. And then if there are any local changes on the instance, you can either save or just discard them. So the save local changes option, it saves your local changes before switching to a different branch, and then later you can merge it. And then if you want to discard your local changes, then it permanently deletes all the changes that you have made in your local machine. And then select the branch you want to switch to, and then the final step is just to switch branch. And then the studio updates the local application to match the branch version from repository. And then the next topic is how to merge the changes. And then just like GitHub or any source control application, we have the branch and then commit, pull, commit, and then merge life cycle. So what does merge change do? So it changes from the development branch into another branch. Then the merge process begins with a pull request. So how do we create a pull request? Um, it, Before merging a branch in source control, a developer creates a pull request. Then this request indicates that work is ready for review. So that means that if you have um, another code, uh, then you can just do a pull request, and then if you are done making your changes in the code, then um, maybe someone will just accept your pull request so that your code changes in your local computer would be merged and will be used in the, let's say, the primary version of the application. So how do we create a pull request? In GitHub, we just need to select a branch to merge and click contribute. And then there is a button there. It says open pull request. So in the open a pull request page, it needs to review the changed files. And then by default, the pull request has the name of the most recent commit. And then we could change the name to describe the pull request. For example, in this one, the name is user experience updates ready to merge. Then we just need to click the create pull request button, and then that is how we create a pull request. So after this process, just what I have said earlier, that even though we have created a pull request, it does not mean that the code you have made is already been updated in the primary branch. So we have here a merging a pull request. So this this step, it gets once your pull request has been reviewed, and then a person could either accept or reject your pull request. And then right after that, um, uh, it says here that um, we could click the merge pull request button on the pull request window. And then the second step is just we could click the confirm merge button. And then what happens in this step is that your code that you have pull requested will be merged into the branch that you have maybe let's say forked. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for that wonderful report, Brian Lisandra. And from our checklist, so Brian here already told us about switching branches and also merging branches. And as we move on with our reporting for Group 3, we are about to explain how to apply remote changes and also stashing changes. So let's give a round of applause to our next reporter, which is Christine Quiapo.
Good morning, everyone. I am Christine Nicole Arquiapo. Up here today to present to you applying remote changes. Applying remote changes. If the remote repository is updated, a developer can apply the changes in Studio. Changes are loaded for the active branch. In ServiceNow Studio environment, when a developer works on customizations or modifications to applications, the changes are typically managed using source control, such as Git, which allows developers to collaborate on code changes and track revisions over time. To apply remote changes, commit any changes made in the current branch. Open the Source Control menu and select the Apply Remote Changes menu item. In the Apply Remote Changes dialog, click the Apply Remote Changes button. Note, if the current branch has uncommitted changes, the Apply Remote Changes dialog prompts the developer to stash or discard the existing changes. Stashing changes is covered later in this module. Stashing changes. Stashing changes. To stash something is to store that something in a safe place. Stashing is in source control saves local changes for an application to apply later. The local changes do not need to be committed to the remote repository. Stashing a change removes the change from the current application and saves that change for a developer to later apply or delete. Use stashes to save uncommitted application changes to reapply later. Save application changes to apply to other branches. Remove undesired changes from a branch. Note, stashes are not saved to remote repository. Stash changes will be lost if the application is deleted or the instance is wiped. Users with an admin or source control role can use Studio to stash changes. Number 1. In this Studio, open the Source Control menu and select the Stash Local Changes menu item. Number 2. In the Stash Local Changes dialog, review the application files to stash. Developer tip. Application files cannot be stashed selectively. All uncommitted application file changes are included in a stash. To not include an application in a stash, commit the change application file before stashing local changes. Number 3. Set a stash description. Number 4. When the stash local changes dialog reports success, click the close button to end the stash creation process. Click the apply stash changes to automatically reapply the stash changes. Developer tip. Add a detailed stash description to know what is included in a stash when reviewing and managing stashes. Your colleagues and your future self will thank you. When a developer changes the active branch by switching branches or applying remote changes, Studio prompts the developers to stash uncommitted changes to protect work. That is all for that is all for up that is for all for applying remote changes and stashing changes discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Christine Capo. So that is the report about applying remote changes and stashing changes. Let's move on to the next reporter, and this is for managing stash changes and working with tags. So for the next reporter, let's give a hand to Stefan Sagarino.
Hello, good morning everyone. So I will be the one to continue and we're gonna talk about the managing stash changes. So first, users with the admin or source control role can use the studio to manage stashes. So, and then yeah, let's get into it. The first what we're gonna talk about is applying the stash changes. So in order to apply the stash changes, we have first go to the source control menu and go select manage stashes. And note if the manage stashes menu is not active, that means the application in Studio doesn't have any stashes. And next is you have to identify the stash you want to apply and click on the apply link. So you have to select the stash that one you want to apply and click the apply link. And third is when the apply stash, stash changes the yellow report success, click the close button. So you just have to close that one. And then after that, we're gonna talk about the committing stash changes. So first, in order to um, commit, I first have to apply after the changes are tracked and separate update set day. Yeah. The next is to commit the changes permanently. Open the select files to commit source control dialog. As you can see, this is the one. And after that, just click continue or whatever that one is, and then choose the appropriate update set. Actually labeled changes committed from stash. As you can see, this one. And after that, and once committed, the changes are integrated into the main branch, and the stash can now be safely deleted. And after that, we're gonna talk about the deleting stashes. So how to delete a stash. So in order to delete the stash, it's pretty easy. You just have to open the source control menu in Studio and then navigate to manage stashes. So somewhere here, as you can see, there's no, yeah, somewhere here, but I cannot demo, but it's somewhere there. And then find the stash you want to delete and click on the delete link. As you can see, this one, delete. Click the delete stash button. So the next topic we're gonna talk about is we're gonna talk about working with tags. So tags serves as markers in your application development story. So it's like a it's like a mm, it's like a remembrance or anything to remember what is that application all about or something like that. And by creating tags, solvers can easily reference and return to these points, making it simpler to manage versions, track releases, and address issues efficiently. So first, how do you create tags? So in Studio, let's open the source control menu and select the create tag menu item. And in the create tag dialog, enter a tag name, then create the tag button. So as you can see here, we're gonna create a version v1.0, or can be also called version 1, so that the developers will easily identify that as the version 1 version of the application. And also tag names cannot take spaces, so you have to just don't use spaces at all. And now when the create tag dialog indicates the branch is created, click the close button. And also you can also click the tag on GitHub. So if you click the tag, you can see the version 1 version of that repository on GitHub. Now, if the tag is not created successfully, just read the message to troubleshoot and just try to solve the issue on your own. And sometimes just click the error so that you could solve the problem somehow. And next, we're gonna talk about applying tags. So to use a tag, create a branch from that tag in the Studio. When a repository has tags, the create branch dialog includes a create tag field to create the branch with the tag as a starting point. As you can see, this is the create branch, and which branch name do we have to, what is the branch name that we have to create, and create from tag what. So as you can see, there's a drag down drop down button here, and you can create from what tag are you referring to as to create as a branch. And now yeah, that is all. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much for your report, Stefan Sagarino. So from there, Stefan discussed about managing stash changes and working with tags. So for the last and not the least reporter, let's give a round of applause to Lala Villamor as as she will report regarding collaborative development and resolving conflicts. So here you go.
Good day, everyone. I am Reno Valyamar, and I am here to talk about the last two topics, which are the collaborative development and resolving conflicts. So, collaborative development is all about multiple developers working in the same application using source control, a collaboration. And ServiceNow is actually three scenarios. First, we have the single instance, single developer. So it has a one ServiceNow instance or environment deployed with a single developer that is responsible for designing, building, and maintaining the applications or configurations within an instance. Next up, we have single instance multiple developers. So it still has a one ServiceNow instance, but multiple developers are involved in the development process. And then lastly, we have the multiple instance multiple developers, which refers to having multiple independent ServiceNow instances which could be dedicated to different purposes with multiple developers involved. However, each developer or team work within their designated instances. So next, let's talk about resolving conflict. So when does conflict occur? So a conflict occurs when a single application file is updated by multiple developers concurrently, and a very common scenario since we are working in a collaborative environment. So how to avoid conflicts if the other developer changes an application file? So fret not, as there is a warning at the top of the form that explains that the record has been modified and there are lists for you to view and identify changes that view differences. So as you can see here, this is the notification and of course the view differences link. So when you click this one, you can see the committed version and the current version of the application. So we have also here use update set, continue in the current update set, and commit changes. So how about resolving conflicts locally? So we have here an apply stash changes dialog. So we have here take stash changes that will apply the stashed version of the conflicting file to your application, and discard stash changes that will apply the most recent version of the application file pulled from the repository to your application, and manually apply that will allow you to view the difference between the conflicting versions and make changes. And we also have here a box for you to tick if you want to select all and apply stash changes after you're done. Also, we have here a status that means conflict unresolved and conflict resolved presented by check icon. So if you click manually apply, this is the interface that you will see. You can compare the stashed and then the current version, and then here there are also a header that which are cancel, take stash, discard stash, and save merges. So that would be all for the collaborative development and resolving conflicts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that one, Lala Villamor. So I think we're all done regarding our reporting for Group 3. So that is for the source control. And once again, my name is Chad Michael Ponce, representative of Group 3, um, as we discuss the source control. Thank you very much, guys, for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.